Yeah, here it is. Got everything laid out. Push the piston rings in, paper or popsicle stick. This is the cylinder head, as you can see. I've taken out 5/100ths, or not quite 5/100ths, but maybe like 4.5/100ths out of this, the top here, this face. I don't know what it'll do yet. See the finish there? I just milled it. Did that a whole bunch of times, and that chamber is quite a bit smaller than stock, so hopefully pump gas will still work. I won't get pre-detonation or anything. But that's that. Now I broke my connecting rod. This connecting rod bolt, yeah, just snapped. So this thing is your connecting rod. It goes on the crank like that. It goes up and down with the piston. And that broke. It was actually starting to knock pretty good at like mid RPM. Then it finally decided to die, and yeah. So here we go. You guys can't see that. So my governor, right there. Yeah. It's been out for a while. As you can see, didn't even use a bolt or anything. So that's the stock right there, is the stock arm. This guy is the stock arm. Then it comes in there, and that is the pin that holds. There's like a big plastic gear right here. That's the same pin that held the gear on. From this side, you have to take off the flywheel and all this shrouding and the fan, and then you punch this. You'll see there's like this thing right here that is like through flush on the other side, and you punch it out, and then I just put it back in. It hasn't come out yet. And then this arm, as you can see, like it still moves like how it should, but it hits this rod, so it doesn't come in here and hit the crank or anything. There's no way it can hit the crank. So I don't know why people always put bolts in, and they're all confused on what throttle linkage to use, and I don't know why people do that. But some people do. Yeah, tiny cylinder. In here, I've actually found, like right in there, it's like this whole thing, like right up to that line, right up to the where the push rods are in there, and these guys are in there, and that thing is all full of oil. And I actually found there to be a little dirt like on the bottom there, so I cleaned everything up good with Q-tips and a little bit of carburetor cleaner, and it's all nice and shiny now. The bore itself looks pretty good. As you can see, you can tell where the piston has been riding and where it hasn't been riding. You can see like right there, you can see that little line. That's where the piston rings stop, and then right there at the top there you can see another line. There's no piston ring ever touches there. The inside of it feels good, nice and smooth. There's none of that finish left. Well, there is a little bit of that finish, that cross finish, but the bottom has way more, but I don't really care. Crank, I took it out, I cleaned it, but yeah, it's good. The flywheel key, I had trouble getting that out, but finally got it, so everything else looks good, even with the fly rod, the connecting rod breaking, or almost breaking that bushing right there on the crank. A bushing, well, not a bushing, but the crank itself is still perfect, nice and shiny how it should be. The piston, it did have some mild scoring on it. Like, you couldn't feel anything with your hand though. Like, you can still see a little bit. Like, you can't feel anything though. So I just touched it on the buffing wheel with like a little bit of compound, just barely for any little time, and I did it both sides. I polished up the top of it. I didn't use sandpaper or anything, or just hit it with the buffing wheel, and it's quite a bit smoother now, so yeah, that's nice. Camshaft is really good. I do have to say though, this side, this wearing area right here, which fits into the block, that does have some wear on it. That's because in there, that's where the camshaft goes, that hole that's in the center of the screen there. At the top of it, you see that little notch? There was actually still had mold from the casting. It still had leftovers, so I just took a file and filed it all out, and that should stop any more wear coming through there. Other than that, the lobes all look good, so that's good. This gasket, I don't know. It's I think I might put it in water, and that should. I don't know if this is the right type of gasket, but sometimes that'll make them more gaskety and seal better. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I will post another video once I get the new connecting rod in and all good, and then hopefully this will make it sound cooler, if anything. Maybe make it a little louder and make a little more power. But yeah, I think that's just about it. All I did. Oh, right here. Yeah, there you go. These guys go right in here. Yeah, the lifters. So that was flat. You see how there's a bevel around that now? I took a countersink and just countersinked it just a little bit just to get rid of that edge. So maybe hopefully it'll stay a little more oiled, because oil splash, sit on that and go up and down. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more.